Hello, dear friends. Today is November 25th, 2024. There are many changes today on the southern Donetsk front, as well as in the Kursk region. But before we begin, I would sincerely like to ask you to subscribe to the channel. By subscribing, you help the channel grow. I thank everyone who has already subscribed. Let's begin, as always, with the Zaporizhzhia area on the Kurakhove direction. The armed forces of the Russian Federation have intensified operations near the settlement of Mala Tokmachka. Active assault operations by Russian troops are not taking place in this direction. Currently, they primarily use drones, artillery, and aviation to preserve personnel as much as possible. The armed forces of the Russian Federation have launched attacks on the settlement of Bilohirya. Troops advanced to the outskirts of the settlement and have established positions. They are now clearing bunkers in the area. At the moment, Russian forces are maintaining tension on this section of the front to force Ukrainian troops to continuously send reinforcements to this direction. There are no significant changes in this area on the map. Moving on to the settlement of Velika Novosilka. Here, the armed forces of the Russian Federation are advancing in several directions. The main changes on the map are on the eastern and northeastern sides. From the eastern side, Russian forces have approached the settlement closely, and assault units have started attacking the outskirts of Velika Novosilka. As you can see on the map, the settlement is divided into 4 parts by rivers, which complicates both the defense of territories and the assault itself. At first glance, the settlement does not have densely packed high-rise buildings, which would generally make the assault easier. However, in reality, this settlement houses a major command post of the Ukrainian army. Ukrainian positions in the settlement are noted to be well fortified. Based on this information, cutting off all supply routes will be necessary to encircle Velika Novosilka and create a threat of encirclement, forcing Ukrainian troops to abandon the area. The military leadership of the Russian Federation may have its own plans and intelligence for this direction, so we can only speculate and monitor the developments. Let's move a bit further up the map. Here, Russian forces entered the settlement of Dalne about 2 days ago. So far, there has been no information about further advances in this settlement, but there has been successful movement south of Dalne. Russian forces are advancing toward the settlement of Novyi Komar. If they manage to capture this settlement, all supply routes to Velika Novosilka will be cut off. At this point, there is a presence of Russian troops and solid control over this territory. On the geospatial material received, the armed forces of the Russian Federation were seen advancing through fields toward Novyi Komar with several armored groups. Some equipment was disabled using FPV drones, while the rest successfully advanced closer to the supply route. How the situation develops, we will see very soon. For now, let's move further along the map. Here, as you can see, there are significant changes on the map. The settlements of Yelizavetivka and Ilinka are under the control of the armed forces of the Russian Federation, and fighting is already taking place on the outskirts of Romanivka. Thus, we can assume that this entire territory is under the control of Russian forces. In fact, Ukrainian troops are in a very critical situation in this section of the front. After Russian troops took control of the settlement of Dalne, all Ukrainian forces in this area ended up in a fire pocket. This greatly complicates not only holding positions, but also retreating. In the near future, the Russian army will press the settlement of Uspanivka from both sides. If Ukrainian forces fail to withdraw from this pocket in time, they will be doomed. Let's move to the settlement of Kurakhove. Here, Russian forces have encircled this pocket, and effectively, the entire eastern part of Kurakhove is under the control of the Russian army. Just an hour ago, information came from the front that assault units of the armed forces of the Russian Federation cleared the entire area of Kurakhove up to the road to Uspanivka. Once geospatial materials are available, updates will be made to the map. However, we can already assume that this entire section up to the supply route is under the control of the Russian forces. Additionally, using aviation, Russian troops destroyed the pipes at the Kurakhove thermal power plant. Earlier, Ukrainian forces had equipped these pipes with surveillance cameras and antennas for drone communication, which significantly hindered the advance of Russian assault units. The pipes were located here, and their destruction will further worsen the position of Ukrainian forces in this area of combat. That concludes the updates for today in this area. Let's move further along the map. Next, we come to the settlement of Berestky, where fighting is ongoing in the center of the settlement. All the territory marked in a different color is under Russian control. As we can see, Russian forces are advancing from the north along the railway in the direction of Berestky. Within the next week, this entire pocket is expected to come under the control of the armed forces of the Russian Federation. Moving a bit further north, in the area of the settlement of Novodmitrivka, Russian forces have expanded their control zone, taking several strongholds. This move cuts off the last supply road to the settlement of Zarya, which is also expected to come under Russian control within the next week. Another settlement that has come under full control of the Russian army is Yurievka. Battles are ongoing for the settlements of Zholta, Pustinka, and Pushkino. Significant changes are expected in this section of the front by the end of the week. We continue to monitor the situation on the front and move further along. In Toretsk, there have been no map updates or news of advancement. However, news has arrived from Chasiv Yar. Today, fighting is underway for the refractory plant located in the center of the settlement. Here, Ukrainian forces have established a heavily fortified area that is slowing the advance of Russian troops. Other than that, no significant changes have been reported here. Let's move further along the map to the Lyman direction. In this section of the front, fighting is ongoing for the settlement of Terny, where Russian forces have made gains. As of today, the entire area is under the control of Russian troops, with fighting continuing in the center of the settlement. Ukrainian forces are continuously sending reinforcements to this section of the front to slow down the Russian advance. There are also updates on the Kupiansk direction. Here, Russian forces have expanded their control zones in the settlements of Pervomaiske and Stelmakivka. All changes are marked in a different color for clarity. Other than this, there are no significant updates, so let's move to the Kursk direction. Here, there are updates in favor of Russian forces. According to incoming information, the armed forces of the Russian Federation have fully cleared the settlement of Plekovo, which is now under their complete control. Moving to the settlement of Daryino, the armed forces of the Russian Federation have also taken full control and established positions. Ukrainian forces attempted to retake the settlement, but all attempts failed. As you may recall, this settlement frequently changed hands over the past month, but it can now be said to be firmly under Russian control. There are also updates regarding the settlement of Tolstyi Lug, which, according to reports, has come under the control of Russian forces, along with the entire northern part of the Kursk direction. Russian troops continue to assault the settlement of Pogrebki. However, their advance is being heavily hindered by FPV drone operators and mined territories. Other than that, no significant changes have been reported in this direction. Thank you all for watching and see you next time.